Greetings, everybody. My name is James. I am from the internet, and today we are going to be talking about how much you get paid at work. Now, the reason we are going to talk about how much you get paid at work is because you don't discuss how much you get paid at work nearly enough. Now, I'm sure most of you have a few people you would confide in, a spouse, a partner, a roommate, a parent, a best friend, somebody you trust. But for the most part, it isn't something that we put out there as part of just an everyday conversation. It's a cultural norm, shall we say. Kind of like how here in the United States we show how patriotic we are by blowing things up, or you know, how families don't discuss the fact that little Timmy is gay, even though literally everybody knows that little Timmy is gay. It's just a thing. And in certain parts of society, when it becomes a thing and a cultural norm and it gets passed down for a few generations, well, it's something we do or don't do without even thinking about it. And there is a very good reason why this is both a cultural norm and why there are lots of people who don't want you thinking about it. Ergo, I am going to spend the day discussing it with you. And I'm not only discussing it because it's something that needs to be discussed, but because there is a relevant tidbit of news out there, a rare W for people in the working class. And seeing as how I don't get to share a whole hell of a lot of good news here very often, I thought I would show you what the W looks like and how there might be a silver lining out there for some members of the working class. Want to see what it looks like? Well, here we go. Employers are being forced to make salaries public, and that's good news for your paycheck. See? Good news. I'm not the harbinger of sorrow today. When it comes to salaries, this is what it's always been like for job applicants. You make your best guess of how much to ask for based on the few tidbits about pay ranges that you've been able to glean from friends and coworkers and job apps. And then you negotiate in the dark. It's a system of secrecy that benefits employers. By treating everybody's salaries as confidential, companies are able to keep workers guessing about how much they're willing and able to pay. Now, any capitalist or business person worth their salt will tell you that there are certain old-timey axioms in the business world that to this day are still quite valid. And one of them is that you always try to negotiate from a position of strength. And unfortunately, if you go into an interview, and it doesn't matter if this is a $15 an hour service job or a $200,000 a year white collar job. If you have no idea how much the company is willing to pay, if you have no idea how much all the other people in the same position are currently making at this place or other places, then you're totally in the dark. You have no point of reference. You have no idea. And God forbid you ask for too much and they laugh you out of the building. Well, then you just screwed yourself out of a potential job. Ergo, not knowing this, not having this information puts you in a position of weakness when you go into that final interview. And employers, investors, financiers, capitalists, they all know this. That's why they do it. However, that's all about to change. A growing number of states are enacting measures known as pay transparency, which force companies to disclose their compensation levels. New laws set to take effect in Connecticut and Nevada next month, and Rhode Island in 2023 require employers to provide applicants the salary range they pay for each position at some point in the hiring process. 4 other states and 2 cities have enacted similar mandates, some of which also require employers to discuss their pay scales to existing employees. The most far-reaching law, which Colorado implemented in January, compels businesses to include their salary ranges in every job posting, effectively making their payroll public. Now, this is not out of bounds or outside the norm in a lot of places. Most government jobs, working for a city or a county or a state, if you go to their specific job listing websites, they will usually tell you the range of what a salary is and what the title associated with it is. Because almost every state, those employees have unions, and those unions have negotiated pay scales and job levels for purposes of promotion and upward mobility and making sure that as people rise through the ranks and their skills become better and they provide more value to their employer, in this case the state, well then there are different rankings that denote that, and each ranking has a higher pay scale, and it will usually show you the entry level and the top level for that position. So you know when you go in to an interview what the median, average, or usual level should be for somebody with your level of experience going into that specific job. Similar right-to-know laws have been enacted in Maryland, Washington, and the cities of Toledo and Cincinnati. But this summer, 3 newly signed bills went even further. Employers in Connecticut, Nevada, and Rhode Island will soon have to disclose their pay scales to every job seeker, even those who don't request the information. And employers in Colorado must now include their minimum and maximum pay levels in every job posting for all to see. And again, the more information you have, the better you can negotiate a good salary for yourself when you go in to that final job interview. Colorado's laws terrified employers, and a trade group sued the state in an unsuccessful bid to block it. Their concerns boil down to 2 issues. First, job postings are visible to everyone. That makes it easier for competitors to poach their employees. It also reveals any pay disparities to their employees who could use the information to demand the same salaries being offered to new hires. That, of course, is the primary point of the law in the first place, to promote equal pay for equal work. Now, don't get this twisted, folks. If nobody in a specific job sphere or industry posts the salaries of any of the employees or what they would be hiring for, it very well allows for the majority of the companies in that industry to get together and determine for themselves what the maximum pay should be for a job, thus creating an artificial ceiling, not based upon the skills of the employee, but rather a cap placed by employers to make sure that they generate more revenue and more profits from each employee. And of course, God forbid you, a plumber, a fast food worker, an auto mechanic who gets paid X number of dollars, looks around online and finds out there's a place right down the road hiring for your position and they pay double what you're making now, well then you would probably leave your job and go take the better paying job. Thus, corporations and businesses would have to continue to increase wages for in-demand jobs to attract the best, rather than putting an artificial ceiling on how much they will pay for any position. Thanks to Colorado's new law, no region has seen a bigger boom in pay transparency than the Rocky Mountains. There, job postings that include salary information have quadrupled since 2019. But the trend is taking place everywhere. In March through June of this year, 12% of job postings nationwide included salary information, up from just 8% in 2019, a full 50% increase over 1 year. And it's not just the new laws that are driving the increase in transparency. In the wake of Me Too and Black Lives Matter movements, employers are under tremendous pressure from employees and shareholders to demonstrate a commitment to pay equity. A new wave of union drives from digital media outlets to Amazon warehouses are championing the kind of pay transparency that is a standard component of most collective bargaining agreements. And many companies are starting to realize that it's easier to post the same information everywhere rather than trying to target disclosures geographically. Quote, when Colorado passed, it seemed like a bit of an anomaly, but now we're seeing this ramp up with new laws that are proactive. It's requiring employers to think real deep about how they can comply with all these different laws and societal demands from both their investors and their employees. This is a pleasant plot twist that I did not have on my 2021 bingo card, so yay, go team working class. So what does this mean for you? Fellow members of the working class and viewers at home, well, it means that there is a little more leverage out there for you when you go to negotiate a wage at whatever job you are looking for. And if you've been in a job for a long time and you've just been on autopilot and you've kind of settled for what you get and based your lifestyle around it, well, pretty soon it's going to be a lot easier for you to look around and see if there is a better paying job out there for what you do. Now, before I go, I want to cover one little thing, and I referenced it earlier in the beginning when we were talking about cultural norms and how usually one drops down from another, and it eventually just gets burned into the overall culture of the country. Well, introducing people and telling people what they do used to be a very common practice. You still see it today, but not as much. It usually goes something like this. Oh, hey, what's up? Hey, Bill, come here. Bill, hey, I want you to meet my friend Ted. Ted, this is Bill. Hey, Bill, Ted? Ted's a lawyer. Ted, Bill over here? Bill's a contractor. Now, have you ever wondered why we do that? Well, I'm going to tell you why. It's so that once two people meet in a capitalist world, they can then determine who should defer to the other, who is better capitalisting than the other one, who is worth more, who earns more, ergo, who is worth more respect, who is higher on the food chain, and who will lead and who will follow in any future conversations that the two of you have. And this is where the money thing stems from. Capitalists and the wealthy discuss money all the time. Everything's out in the open. Oh, when you go to buy out another company, they don't keep it secret until the last instant. They tell you it's going to be $2 billion to buy the company, and they advertise it. And then all the other capitalists go out and they bid against the other capitalists, and the price goes up, and people end up paying a lot more than they intended to. And they don't want to have to do that with labor. They always want labor to be a low, controlled cost. However, you, as an individual and a human being, you are labor. You are the line item in a spreadsheet. So everybody, take this tidbit of information, go out and get more information, and start negotiating yourself a better salary or finding a better place to work where you already know they value your labor more than your current boss. Until next time, my name is James, I am from the internet, and I am out. Peace.